What's the logic? Is Atishi, I mean, of course, there's history in the making, third woman, youngest, has her own record. And, as a woman, I'll always cheer for women, more women in leadership roles. But there's a sense that she's a placeholder, that she's somebody that Mr. Kejriwal trusts to keep the seat warm for him, and that this is strictly a temporary arrangement. How do you see what has happened? Akshay Marathe.
Thank you, Barkha, for having me on your show. Let me first start by sharing the reasoning for why Arvind Kejriwal has resigned in the first place, because that's where the story begins. The reason that Arvind Kejriwal chose to resign now, after getting bail from the Supreme Court, is because, you see, the only capital that Aam Aadmi Party or Arvind Kejriwal has had in the last 10 years is our image as honest people, as an honest political alternative. And through the last 2 years of this ED CBI case on the fake liquor scandal, there is a sense that his image has been hurt by the BJP. His perception of being that honest person, he's feeling hurt by the fact that that has happened to him. And even though the Supreme Court has now vindicated his stand, where it called the CBI a caged parrot, one of the judges even held that his arrest was illegal to begin with. So even though there is also the argument that this was all persecution on the part of the BJP, Arvind Kejriwal believes that as a popular mass leader of Delhi, he wants to go back to the people of Delhi to get the mandate again and serve the people again. And I think it's a phenomenal example in Indian politics, where somebody who has won 2 elections has chosen to leave on his own terms, by his own judgment. Nobody has forced him out. And I think it is a precedent that people should not be greedy for power. People should remember that they are in power only because people have voted for them. And Arvind Kejriwal is going back to his people and asking for their blessings. And he's saying something very courageous. He's saying, vote for me again only if you believe I'm honest. Otherwise, don't vote for me. I will go back to what I was doing. So that is the context of why this has happened to begin with. Now, coming to the question of, is Atishi a placeholder chief minister? Barkha, maybe you are aware of this, but I joined the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi way back in 2016 when Atishi was the education advisor to Manish Sisodia. Atishi has worked long and hard on solving Delhi's governance problems, has established a credibility as a solid administrator, as a governance person. And then when Manish ji went to jail, she took over as the education minister, and in fact had almost 20-30 departments under her. She was practically running a large portion of the Delhi government. So she's not somebody who we might think of as a lightweight or as a placeholder person who's just warming the seat.
Can I interrupt there only to say that I wasn't diminishing Atishi's sort of capacity or her record or her credentials. When I use the phrase placeholder, I simply mean that Mr. Kejriwal is the numero uno. And when Mr. Kejriwal believes that he's in the position to be chief minister again, Atishi will be asked to vacate that place. That's all I meant.
Yeah, no, and Barkha, I think in a democracy, we must respect the mandate of the people. If Aam Aadmi Party goes to the people and says that if you vote for us, Arvind Kejriwal will be the chief minister, then we must respect that mandate of the people. And that's the message that we will be going into the next election with. Atishi ji is a senior leader of the party, senior member of the cabinet, has worked under the guidance of Arvind Kejriwal and will continue to do so. So there is no dilemma in that sense.
Okay, let me bring in Dr. Tayal. Dr. Tayal, when you were on the program last, you were convinced that it would not be Atishi. In fact, you and Tehseen Poonawala both argued that Mr. Kejriwal's wife, Sunita Kejriwal, would be the next chief minister. You have been wrong in that assumption. What do you make of these developments, Dr. Tayal? Could we unmute Dr. Tayal, please? You might be muted at your end, sir. Go ahead.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, admitted, because that is what I expected. But yes, developments have been happening, and the grapevine has it that there has been arm twisting by Sisodia, because obviously after Kejriwal, Sisodia was the obvious choice, because together they were the ones who launched Kabir, and that is where the Ford Foundation money landed up, and that money went, wherever it went. So he was the obvious choice, but then he would not be a puppet. So since he was not to be, that is Sisodia put down his foot and said, okay, if I am not to be, Mrs. Kejriwal also is not to be. and then the consensus rested on Atishi. The interesting part, let me take up some things which Akshay has said, which are very interesting. First is the image of Mr. Kejriwal as an honest person, which he's defending. Now, that is where I agree with him completely, because Mr. Kejriwal has stood firm on whatever he has said. He said, I will not join politics. He has not. He said, I will not take a house. He has not. Only a mahal. He has said, I will travel in my Wagoner. He didn't take a car. He said, I swear by my children, I will never tie up with Congress. He did not. His honesty is another level which is yet to be seen in the world history, probably. So yes, he has something to defend there. So I would agree with him there. I'm completely in agreement with what he says. The other thing which he said, that the courts have said the CBI was a caged parrot, and therefore that is something for us. The court said this in 2013 before BJP came in. Probably he is yet to know of it. Now, after the CBI has done its job, why were the courts holding him there for 6 months? CBI was not holding him there. The courts were holding him there. And,
Okay.
hanging on to a proverbial straw, when he says one judge has said, what have the other judges said? Now, the other thing which he tried to deftly steer, when you said, is she a lame duck CM? Not your words, mine. But yes, is she a dummy CM? So he's kind of steered away from it. But that is something which, when one heard, honestly, when one heard that she was going to be, and like you said, a Rhodes Scholar, Oxford, and so on and so forth, one expected so much. But her sentence was, Delhi has only one CM, which is Kejriwal. That is what she has said. And Saurabh Bhardwaj has very openly said, Khadau and so on and so forth. So they have not left any doubt in our minds that this is a night watchman. This is a lame duck CM. So there is no two ways about it, and she's admitted it herself. Then he has said that
Okay.
she's a solid administrator. Can I just complete this point?
Yeah.
She's a solid administrator, and the kind of work that she's done is remarkable. For example, as the education minister, I mean, a petty 1,300 crore rupees scam is fantastic management. And the Sheesh Mahal going from 15 crores under PWD, which he handles, going from 15 crores to 53 crores for a Aam Aadmi house. Fantastic. Delhi Jal Board, which 2013 had 600 crores of profit, today has a loan of 75,000 crores. I mean, and a scam anyway coming out 19 for 43
Okay,
crores.
you made your point. You made your point. I think we get the drift of what you're trying to say. The first comments, by the way, for audience members who may be confused, Dr. Tayal wasn't suddenly praising Arvind Kejriwal. He was being sarcastic, strictly tongue between cheek, as it were. I just thought audience confused na ho jaye, to batana chahiye. Now, Neerja Chaudhary, how do you look at it? You see, you can argue this from both sides. You can say gimmick hai, Kejriwal ran out of options. He had to do something to re-legitimize himself. He had to do something to rebrand himself. So he's done it. It's a gamble, may or may not pay off. Or you could see it as a gimmick, as the opposition sees it, or you could see it as another clever Kejriwal move. How do you see it?
Well, politics is made up of gimmicks, if you and I are honest. Which is a smart gimmick and a smart ploy depends on its success. In the given situation where he decided to resign, I think Atishi is probably a good move to install her as the chief minister for a variety of reasons. Some you've already cited. She's highly educated, she's very articulate, in her replies, very focused. And when Sisodia and Kejriwal and others were in jail, she took charge. She took charge very naturally and could be seen at crisis points, floods, whatever happened. And I think given that, and of course, a very big factor, women is a constituency that Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party are now trying to win. And the scheme of 1,000 rupees per woman per month is to be rolled out. But making a woman Chief Minister of Delhi. And I think also Atishi's appeal would go to what I call the Sheila Dikshit constituency, the middle class that had become somewhat disenchanted with Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party in the last couple of years. The Jhuggi Jhopris still are with them. And you find women really rooting for them. Hamare bachcho ki education, our medicines. And you go, I've been to some of the areas recently, and that's what they say. So it is a good move, a good ploy, a good gimmick, whatever you may call it, in the given circumstances. I would say one more thing, Barkha, here. It's not only about Atishi or about Kejriwal. This is also about Delhi.